4:17 a.m. The Strait of Hormuz. The sterile silence is violently torn apart by a red alert siren blaring aboard an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer. On the radar scope of this billion-dollar warship, dozens of crimson contacts are converging from every direction, exactly like a swarm of angry bees attacking an anthill. Iran has officially shown its hand. In exactly 90 seconds, the swarm of fast attack craft will cross into effective firing range. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is attempting to turn the world's most critical maritime chokepoint into a deadly toll booth, where the price of admission is the very survival of the American fleet. Before the kinetic threshold was crossed, the IRGC swarm executed a textbook stealth equation. They severed all radio emissions, deactivated satellite positioning, and hugged the vertical limestone cliffs along the coastline. At these coordinates, the natural rock served as a physical shield, absorbing and scattering radar pulses from the sea, effectively transforming the fast attack craft into mechanical ghosts within the U.S. fleet's geometric blind spot. Above the cloud layer, however, the P-8A Poseidon had already initiated active hunting protocols. The aircrew deployed a honeycomb grid of ANSSQ 53G sonobuoys across the surface of the strait. The microsecond the desert wolves ignited their engines, the sonobuoy array captured the rhythmic vibrations of propellers and the roar of marine diesels. This raw acoustic data was digitized and injected via Link 16 directly into the destroyer's CIC. A real-time thermal map materialized. Iran's physical masking was officially deleted from the equation. An MH-60R Seahawk was vectored into position. The pilot maintained a clinical hover at a precise range of 8 kilometers. The calculus was elementary. The effective reach of the Iranian 12.7mm machine guns is a mere 2 kilometers. The U.S. maintained the position of a high-rise sniper targeting an adversary who possessed nothing but a pocket knife. Utilizing high-definition electro-optics, the CIC identified the 2 command boats, the neural hubs coordinating the swarm. 2 Hellfire missiles roared off their rails, tearing through the night at Mach 1.3. Boom! Hydrostatic shockwaves shredded the thin fiberglass hulls, liquidating the lead vessels into towering funeral pyres, and thousands of pieces of debris scattered across the obsidian swells. The surgical precision of the strike sent the IRGC formation into apparent disarray. Communication loops collapsed, and multiple hulls stalled in the water. Inside the blue glow of the CIC, U.S. sailors began to exhale, convinced that the decapitation logic had neutralized the threat in its infancy. Before the smiles could fade, a physical anomaly appeared on the SPY-6 displays. The surviving boats did not retreat. Instead, they accelerated, fanning out into a massive arc to envelop the destroyer's flanks. The American captain realized the chilling reality. The liquidated command boats were merely pre-programmed sacrificial variables. 4:42 local time. Even as the debris from the liquidated command boats has yet to settle on the seabed, the tactical plot shifts abruptly into a state of system overload. Iran initiates a multi-layered counteroffensive designed to exceed the processing bandwidth of the Aegis combat system. A cloud of hundreds of Ababil decoy UAVs erupts from concealed cliffside batteries. On the SPY-6 phased array displays, the target count surges from 50 to 500 in exactly 3 seconds. This is not a strike to kill. It is a clinical denial of service using steel and composite. Forced to execute billions of validation cycles per millisecond to filter ghosts from reality, the Aegis combat brain enters a state of tactical latency. The American destroyer is functionally suffocated by information volume. The adversary weaponizes the environment through a calculated atmospheric override. Fajr, 5 rocket batteries launch a saturation barrage directed not at the ship, but at the water's surface surrounding the vessel. Sequential detonations geyser 15-meter columns of brine into the atmosphere. As the seawater is flash-boiled and aerosolized, it creates a dense, ionized fog. Infrared sensors are thermally saturated. Laser rangefinders are scattered by salt crystals. The 9,000-ton giant is transformed into a blind gladiator within a cage of electromagnetic smoke. Amidst sensor paralysis, a frantic report from the Seahawk pilot flags a critical variable: entering minefield. Below the waves lie Maham's smart mind's mechanical executioners triggered by acoustic signatures and magnetic displacement. The captain is forced into a kinetic reset, ordering an immediate engine stop and a violent hard-over rudder shift. The steel hull groans under ultimate shear stress as the ship evades the kill radius by a mere few meters of displacement. This survival maneuver is the final coordinate in Iran's intercept algorithm. From the artificial mist, the second wave emerges, semi-submersible suicide boats with reinforced armored bows. The Arleigh Burke is caught in a perfect geometric proof. To reverse or turn is to engage a Maham mine. To remain static is to accept hull liquidation by a direct ramming strike. The survival countdown has reached exactly 5 seconds. At the absolute threshold of destruction, with suicide craft mere breaths away from the hull, the American captain issues the order for the final non-kinetic variable. Execute directed energy attack. The AN SLQ 32V6 electronic warfare suite is surged to peak output, overriding all technical safety margins and functionally transforming the entire warship into a gargantuan microwave emitter. There is no propellant smoke, no roar of rocket motors. A focused beam of radio frequency energy sweeps across the Strait of Hormuz like an invisible electromagnetic tsunami. This strike does not target steel plating. It executes a clinical digital lobotomy, instantaneously erasing the neural pathways of the entire IRGC attack grid. The cloud of Ababil decoys is suddenly power-cycled out of existence. GPS signatures vanish. Command links are overwritten by high-intensity white noise. Hundreds of aerial assets that once throttled the Aegis processor are instantly converted into useless masses of plastic and carbon fiber, losing orientation and impacting the sea surface like moss with shattered wings under high-frequency electromagnetic pressure. The Iranian suicide flotilla is rendered functionally blind. Adversary control screens turn to static. Electronic compasses spin erratically as sensors reach terminal saturation. Deprived of centralized coordination, the desert wolves wrench their rudders in a state of digital panic amidst the salt mist. At a velocity of 50 knots, the vessels collide with massive kinetic energy, triggering a sequence of chain reactions that erupt into gargantuan fireballs, incinerating the obsidian night. Iran's siege grid undergoes a total domino effect collapse. The U.S. Navy has successfully solved the survival equation at Hormuz without expending a single additional kinetic round. 5:32 local time. The artificial mist created by the rocket salvos begins to dissipate, revealing a Strait of Hormuz that has been transformed into a pressurized furnace. The ship's automated defense layer, the Phalanx CIWS Block 1B, familiarly known by crews as R2D2, initiates its terminal firing cycle. This is not a human decision, it is a robotic reflex. The Kuban search radar tracks the erratic vectors of the blinded suicide boats. The 6-barrel, 20mm Gatling gun slews with supernatural speed, spitting a continuous stream of armor-piercing tungsten sabos at a rate of 4,500 rounds per minute. Under this density of fire, the Iranian fiberglass hulls are not merely hit. They are mathematically unzipped. The tungsten penetrators punch through engine blocks and detonate fuel bladders in a catastrophic chain reaction, reducing the boats to drifting piles of composite debris in under 3 seconds. Simultaneously, the Mach 45 Mod 4 5-inch main gun opens a second front of destruction. The fire control computer cycles the ballistic inventory to multifunction fuse rounds. These shells are programmed to airburst exactly 3 meters above the water surface. Each detonation creates an expansive umbrella of thousands of high-velocity steel fragments. This is a clinical surface shaving maneuver, designed to strip away every antenna, biological entity, and exposed sensor on any Iranian vessel within the mid-range envelope. It is a slaughter of variables, clearing the board for the final aerial audit. Suddenly, a low-frequency rumble vibrates through the limestone cliffs. The Thunderbolt has arrived. A flight of 2 A-10C Thunderbolt IIs the legendary Warthog streak across the horizon. They ignore the standard flight ceilings, navigating at a combat floor of exactly 30 meters above the swells to stay beneath the coast-based radar aperture. The pilots, stabilized by the TF-34 turbofans, slew their sniper pods onto the remaining PACAP-class targets. Inside the HUD, the targeting reticle turns a steady green. The GAU-8, a Avenger, a massive, 7-barrel rotary cannon is unleashed. The iconic bird roar tears through the atmosphere, a sound so violent it momentarily drags against the aircraft's forward momentum. Every second, 65 depleted uranium DU rounds the size of milk bottles are injected into the target's displacement zone. When these 30mm penetrators strike, the physics is absolute. The kinetic energy is so high that the titanium-encapsulated uranium flash ignites upon impact. The seawater surrounding the Iranian boats literally boils as the projectiles plow through the hulls and out the other side. Within a single firing pass, the Strait of Hormuz is choked with expanding oil slicks and the pulverized remnants of Tehran's asymmetric dream. While the sea surface transitions into a bath of molten steel, the terminal objective of this audit is embedded deep within the limestone cliffs of Keshm Island. Operating from 30,000 feet, the P-8 of Poseidon's ANAPY-10 radar executes a near-impossible task, penetrating artillery smoke and dense weathered rock to isolate microscopic magnetic anomalies. U.S. signal processing algorithms instantaneously isolate static metallic masses, the Noor missile launchers and munitions caches buried within the mountain's subterranean core. The coordinates are consolidated into a high-fidelity target packet and pushed directly into the A-10 cockpits via the Link 16 digital architecture. Recognizing the subterranean fortress is compromised, IRGC ground components engage in a desperate defense, deploying MESA, 2 manpads, crimson infrared plumes stitch across the sky. To ensure survival, the A-10 pilots execute high-alpha maneuvers, reaching 7 Gs, stressing the airframes to their peak structural vibration limits. Volleys of magnesium flares erupt, incinerating at 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit to create artificial suns that effectively saturate the adversary's thermal tracking algorithms. The Iranian missiles detonate harmlessly in the clear air, as the U.S. formation maintains an unwavering attack vector. Facing a hardened cave complex, surface saturation is dismissed as an economic error. The flight lead cycles the Sniper Advanced Targeting Pod into active track. The electro-optical sensors achieve a hard lock on the keystone, the critical structural fulcrum sustaining the integrity of the limestone vault. In structural geometry, the cave functions as a monumental arch. Once this central variable is deleted, the entire massif is transformed from a protective shell into a liquidation receipt, weighing tens of thousands of tons. A GBU-12 Paveway 2 laser-guided bomb is released. It descends with clinical indifference, tracking the laser spot oscillating against the cliff face. The hardened steel penetrator drives 3 meters into the bedrock before the delayed fuse cycles. The initial detonation is not designed to level the mountain, but rather to serve as a seismic catalyst. Hydrostatic shockwaves propagate through the narrow arterial tunnels, triggering a sympathetic detonation of liquid propellant caches and fissure, 5 rocket engines stored within the hollows. Internal overpressure surges to thousands of psi in 0.8 seconds, generating a ruthless piston effect. The limestone face shears along natural fault lines. Tens of thousands of tons of rock collapse, hermetically sealing the narrow portals and entombing all IRGC reserve components beneath a permanent geological shroud. If you want to continue following the strategic strikes of Operation Epic Fury, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next update. Goodbye.